Now, I would like you to imagine this building without electricity. This whole area is dark, but flooded with hundreds of people, most likely candlelights coming through the windows inside. And they're all waiting in anticipation of this new piece that they're about to hear. Is by a very famous composer from Vienna for them. His name is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. On a night probably not very much different from tonight, because it's about the same time of the year. And Mozart conducted the premiere of his opera Don Giovanni here in Prague at the Estates Theatre on October 29th, 1787. Don Giovanni is one of the most famous dramatic stories. It follows the main character Don Giovanni and his exploits in many lands, traveling with his servant Leporello. But his life takes a dark turn when he crosses paths with Il Commendatore. He is the father of one of his exploits, Donna Anna. And Il Commendatore, a character who represents honor, justice, and also fate. So Don Giovanni begins with the overture and these imposing chords in minor tonality. Really imposing, really impressive. It's like warning of some sort, okay? And then all of a sudden they stop. This must be a real surprise, because at the time during overtures, people were either talking to each other or were still walking around. And why did the music stop? And then the chords begin again. This is a very haunting music here. Mozart is actually telling us it's the foreboding of Don Giovanni's inevitable fate at the end of the opera, which we will not hear this music, we will not hear again until maybe another 2.5 hours. But he's preparing us. There's something really not right. There's something sinister that's happening. And then comes these chromatic scales that are really, really, in some ways scary if you consider at the time. Cadence, and then the cheerful part of the music begins, which will reign the opera, basically dominate the opera all the way to the end of the opera, until when we will have to face the character of Il Commendatore coming back as the ghost. And I think that's really, for me, that's just like the best part of the whole opera. But don't get me wrong, in between there is some really, really beautiful music by Mozart. Standing here in front of the Estates Theatre is the statue called Cloak of Conscience. It's by a German-Czech sculptor called Anna Chromý from the 1990s. And it seems to represent the spirit of Il Commendatore from Don Giovanni. It's a symbol of the conscience we all carry, and a reminder that in the end, no one can escape accountability. It's actually my favorite scene in the whole opera. Il Commendatore appears again. This time he's possibly inhabiting this statue in a cemetery where Don Giovanni happens to be, and warns Don Giovanni against his actions. And Don Giovanni, being all defiant, basically mocks the spirit of the ghost of Il Commendatore, invites him to a party. And at the end of the opera, Il Commendatore, or his ghost, does turn up at the party and ends up taking Don Giovanni to hell. More than 2 centuries later, this opera still resonates. Don Giovanni and the figure of Il Commendatore remind us that whether in music, history or life, there are some truths that we just can't escape. Thank you for joining me at this video. If you like my content, please do subscribe to my channel. You can also check out HitTheRoad.world, and you never know, maybe I'll see you in one of my tours in Munich, Salzburg or Augsburg. Until then, stay well.
100 in Francia, in Turchia, 91, ma in Spagna son già 1003.